everyone, Michelle here from Gardening TLC and welcome back. Today, we're going to talk flowers in the vegetable garden because when you do that, good things happen. I got my order from Johnny Seeds and we're going to talk about the cut flowers that we're going to be adding to the vegetable garden this year. When you grow flowers in your vegetable gardens and you tuck them in, they keep on blooming and they bring beneficials all season long. Plus, you get the bonus of fresh bouquets and you can harvest just like you do your vegetables. Are you ready to find out what I'm planting in 2026? Well, stick around. I am always amazed at how little room it actually takes to do a cut flower garden. I've always done it separate from my regular garden, but now I'm going to actually incorporate it into my garden. I have a new garden bed area that I created, and we're going to create a little ecosystem over there that combines flowers, herbs, and vegetables. We are going to let nature take care of nature. So this year I am adding cut flowers, and I thought I'd go over the seeds and the different varieties that I am going to be planting in this area. So I ordered everything from Johnny's Seeds, and I do have a few seeds that I already had that I'll be incorporating in, but I'll tell you where I got those as well. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. One of the things that we definitely want to do when we're planting our cut flower garden is we want to make sure that we have flowers from frost to frost. So I'm not just going to plant things that are growing in the heat of the summer. I want to attract those beneficial insects to my garden as early as possible because the bad bugs aren't going to wait for the good bugs. So if they're already there, I'm ahead of the game. So we are going to be transplanting some plants. We are going to be growing some from seed, and we will be direct sowing. We will also be doing some of these seeds as succession plants. And what that means is we're going to plant a little bit in the beginning, and then we'll wait a couple weeks and we'll plant a little bit more, wait a couple weeks, plant a little bit more. And that way we are always in flowers. The one thing that you want to make sure that you do if you're going to tuck your flowers in with your vegetables is you've got to harvest them. I have deliberately placed my bed on the other side of my property, away from any windows where I can look out and go, oh, isn't that lovely? Isn't that gorgeous? Because to get this to work, you have to harvest the flowers. You can't just grow them and go, oh, those are so nice and so lovely in the garden. You need them to continue to produce. And most of these are going to be flowers that by cutting them, it's going to make them produce more. And we are going to be using all of these flowers in different ways. So nothing's going to go to waste. How am I going to have flowers from frost to frost? Well, some of that is going to have to do with timing. It also is going to have to do with the type of flowers that I use. So this year I will be planting some perennial flowers, but most of the flowers I'm going to put in are going to be annuals. Pretty much all of them, I'm either going to start from seed right in the ground or I'll seed start them ahead of time. The trick with doing this is that you want flowers all the time. And so how do I get flowers early in the season? And how do I get those flowers that grow early in the season to hang on in the heat of the summer and then carry me all the way to fall? Well, the trick to that is planting your plants or your seeds at the right time. Just like vegetables, flowers have warm season and cool season. So we are going to be planting some cool season flowers, and these will be ones that we start from seed because we want to get a jump start on them and get them in the ground, get them growing, and get them blooming as fast as possible. Those are the ones that are going to pull those beneficial insects into our gardens early instead of waiting until after the last frost date, which for me is like May 15th. I need to be way ahead of that. Otherwise, I'm really not pulling any beneficials in my garden until we get to like July, and that's too late. By then, the bad bugs have already settled in. So we are going to get ahead of the game, and we're going to plant some cool season annuals. So not only will we plant cool season annuals like in April, we will also replant those cool season annuals again later in the year to pull us into fall. So we're going to time what we're doing to grow when it's optimal for them to be growing. We will also be planting some warm season annuals, and these are the ones that are going to take us through the summer months. Some of them we're going to plant from seed right in the ground. Some of them we will seed start to get a jump start on them to get them blooming faster. And a lot of these, we're going to do what's called succession planting. My example would be sunflowers. Sunflowers are 55 days, at least the ones that I use, from the time you put them in the ground until the time you have a flower. Think about how many cycles of 55 days I have. So I'm going to succession plant. And what will happen is I'll plant my first seeds in the ground and I'll wait 1 to 2 weeks. And then I'll plant some more, and then I'll plant some more, and I'll plant some more. And I will keep doing that and rotating through an area in my garden that isn't going to take up a lot of space all the way through frost. So if I think about it, I can probably put my last batch in right around the second week in August and still be producing sunflowers into October. So yes, I will be using a lot of cool season and warm season annuals. And the life cycle of an annual is basically that it grows up, it flowers, it seeds, and it dies. But one of the things that you have to do when you're doing a cut flower garden in your vegetable garden is you have to harvest. You have to pick continually so that your plant kind of gets tricked. It doesn't all of a sudden just start producing seed. It actually will try to prolong its life, and so it will grow more flowers. So the more you pick, the more it'll produce, and the longer you'll get flowers off that plant and have it be productive. We also have perennial flowers that we'll be planting, like our lavender or echinacea or hyssop. Some of those herby plants that we're going to be adding to the garden that will come back year after year. And basically a perennial is any plant that's going to live longer than 2 years. It dies back to the ground in the winter, or you have to cut it back to the ground in the winter, remove all of the foliage or dry the foliage, which is what we're going to be doing, or harvest all the flowers off of it, and then it comes back the next year. So eventually I'll have all three, the warm season, the cool season, annuals, and the perennials. By using all three and adding all of these flowers to my garden, I'm going to be able to start earlier in the spring and extend my growing season longer in the fall. It has definitely been my experience over the year that if you plant the plant at the right time, it's more disease resistant, it's healthier, it's more drought tolerant, and it produces better in the garden. Once you become familiar with what your plants want in the garden, when they want to be planted, when is it their time to shine, it actually becomes kind of second nature to know when they need to be planted. When we mimic and follow nature's example of what your plants want, your gardening becomes so much more fun and so much more easier. Check it out. Look what I made. I made an overlay of the garden so that way I can kind of show you placement of where we are placing things. This is to make it easier for me and to make it easier for you to see what I am talking about. So first we're going to talk about the different seeds that we're going to be planting and or transplants that we're going to be doing. As I start the seeds, or I winter sow them in a jug, or I direct sow them right in the ground. You guys are going to be right with me when I do that. All right, so let's open our box from Johnny's Seeds and see what we've gotten here. I know, can you believe they fit so many seeds in such a little box? All right, let's open it up. All right, so we're going to start with one of my favorites. We're going to start with zinnias. All right, so I have 4 different kinds of zinnias that I'm going to be growing. The first one are the Benary's Giant. Now, I chose 2 different Benary Giants, and I ended up buying 100 seeds of one and 50 seeds of the other. These are going to go in the north side of the hoop bed in the ground, and they're going to go in the center of the bed. So half of it will be the Benary's Giant, and the other half will be the Benary's Lime Green, because Lime Green is really a great one to mix any direction, including fall bouquets. So we want to make sure that we have these as well. Now, this Benary's Giant mix, we're going to start half of them in seed trays and half of them in the ground. The lime green, we're going to do the same thing. Half of them in the ground, half of them in seed trays. That way I have a succession planting of this going on, and I have some that will get going earlier and then some that will bloom later. Now, we are also going to be planting a Queeny formula mix. Now, the Queeny formula mix is all of the Queeny lime, the Queeny peach, the Queeny yellow, all of the Queenies in the series, and we're going to plant these. These are going to go on the south side hoop bed in the ground, and they're going to go down the center of the bed, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Half of them are going to go in the ground, half of them are going to be seed started, and I did buy 100 seeds. So that is what we're going to do with those. And again, I like the blend of all the different colors so that we can use them however we want. Now, I am going to wait until July, like right around the end of June, beginning of July, to plant these. And we probably will self-sow these right into the ground. This is the zinnia called Yellow Flame, and I want this one for fall blooming. So this one we won't put in until a little bit later. And again, I have 50 seeds, and these are going to be planted in the ground to the left of the metal garden beds. That's all I have for zinnias, even though there are other zinnias that I'll be growing in other projects, and I can always go and cut flowers from those areas as well. Those are the 4 that are going to go into my cut garden area. Now, I will also be planting some celosia, and we have plume celosia and we have coxcomb celosia. So there are so many different colors that I like. I decided that I wasn't going to pick any one color, and I decided just to do the color blends with the different colors in them and just plant one type of plume and one type of coxcomb. So some of these are going to be planted at the end of the raised beds on either side of the hoops, and some of them are going to be planted in front of the cedar beds. And I don't need a lot of room there to grow these, but I'm going to have them in 2 different places. Again, some of them I'm going to start from seed in the ground, and some of them I'm going to start transplants and then get them going earlier. Now, I am going to do the Chief mix right here, and this one is absolutely gorgeous. All these different colors. I did buy 100 seeds. And then I also am going to do the Sunday mix. Aren't those fabulous? I absolutely love it. And I bought 100 seeds of those as well. Now, both the Celosia and the Zinnia are warm season annuals. So these are ones that I won't be able to put the transplants out until after the danger of frost is over. I did decide again to add one more packet of Celosia, and I'm going to add the Cramers Lemon Lime. I bought 100 seeds of this because, again, I want that lemon lime color, which goes very well with summer bouquets, but it also plays into the fall bouquets. So I'm adding some more of the lime green, and this is going to be absolutely gorgeous. And this will also be in one of the spots that we already talked about. This is going to be seed started, half of them, and then half of them put in the ground. Other warm season annuals that I'll be planting will be Gomphrena, and I'm going to do the carmine color. I bought 250 seeds, of which there's no way I'm going to plant 250 Gomphrena. It was just a better deal to buy 250. But I will be definitely seed starting these. This is not one that likes to be self-sown right in the ground. So we'll be doing these in trays. And again, once the danger of frost is over. And they're going to be planted in front of the cedar bed. And we'll have the Celosia, one of each kind, on either side of that. All right, in one of my beds that I'm going to actually be growing vegetables in, and all the way over on the left of where the metal garden beds are, we're creating a little area over there for some more flowers. We are going to be planting some giant marigolds. So we're going to do the giant yellow and the giant orange. Again, these are ones that we are going to start in seed cell trays and then transplant them out once the danger of frost is over. So pretty excited about those. Now, I will be planting sunflowers as well, and I like to use the Pro Cut Orange. I'm going to use all one color this year because I found last year I grew like 6 or 7 different colors, and the ones that the girls really wanted, they wanted the orange. So that's what we're going to grow. And I like the Pro Cut. It grows one single sunflower per stalk, and you succession plant these all season long. You can put the seeds out right in the ground once the danger of frost is over. And for me, I will, direct sow these right in the ground. I'll probably do 4 rows, and every week I'll plant some, and then they'll just continually bloom. Now, I'm going to plant these pretty close together because sometimes when you're using sunflowers in bouquets, you don't want those sunflowers so big that you just don't know how to manage and use them. If you plant your seeds a little bit closer together, it will actually control the size of the head of that sunflower that you're growing, and then they're a lot more manageable to use. These we will plant from the time hard frost is over in the spring all the way until I'm 55 days in front of my first frost in the fall. I actually bought 250 seeds. I don't know if this is going to be enough. I might actually have to go buy some more. I have 4 more plants that I'm going to put in that are part of the cut flower program. They're not necessarily flowers, but I need the filler to do the bouquets. One of them is going to be Dusty Miller, and it's the new look. This is going to be planted in seed trays and then transplanted out after the danger of frost is over. I did buy pelleted seeds, so I'll have to plant all of these in one growing season. I got 50 seeds. I'm also going to be doing 2 different kinds of basil, and I'm not growing these to eat. I'm actually growing these as my filler plant that's going to go in my bouquets. So the first one is Mrs. Burns Lemon, And the second one is cinnamon. Both of these will grow after the danger of frost is past. I will start them in seed trays and then bring them outside. Now, my last one is one that actually wants to be direct sown right in the ground. It's called Limelight Spray Millet. You direct sow it in the ground after the danger of frost is over, and then it grows up into the garden. All 4 of these will be used as filler plants for the cut flowers to make my bouquets. Let's talk about the cool season annuals that I'm going to put in. Some of the seeds for the cool season annuals that I'm going to be planting, I already had. Pretty much all of these I'm going to seed start in trays because even though I can direct sow a lot of these in the ground is still cool and it takes longer for them to germinate outside. I am going to buy like a row cover that I can put on top of some of my plants to get them going a little bit faster, but I'm going to seed start pretty much all of these. Now, remember I said that I was going to buy one of those round beds to put in the middle of my 4 metal beds that are out there. Well, I have decided that I'm going to be growing sweet peas out there. Now I have the seed trainers that I can do these in because they don't like to have their roots disturbed once they get going. But I am going to plant the Chiffon Elegance, and this is from Renee's garden. I already had these seeds and I've decided I didn't need to buy more. I already had these. I actually have 2 different kinds, but this is the one that I chose to put in the garden, and I'm going to grow it up an obelisk in that round bed that's going to sit in between the 4 raised metal beds. I am going to plant Bachelor buttons around those sweet peas. It's going to be so sweet. It's actually one of the few plants that I will probably not seed start. I will direct sow right in the ground. It's actually recommended that you direct sow these right in the ground, but I will be doing succession plantings of these because I want them to go as far along into the season as I can. Now, this is a cool season annual, so when they're done, I will replace them with some marigolds with the sweet peas later on. And then if the sweet peas poop out, then I'll end up switching those out for some pole beans on the obelisk as well. So see, it all plays together in this great big orchestra that you're kind of conducting to grow together. Isn't it just, it's so fun to think about planning it and putting it all together. Also, if you're growing cucumbers, these are a great companion plant for cucumbers. I did buy 100 of these. It's probably not enough. I'll probably have to reorder because this is one of the ones that I will replant so that I have a fall crop of these as well. You can't grow cool season annuals without having Snapdragons. So we're going to grow the Rocket Mix, which is a taller mix of the Snapdragons. And again, we're going to place these in the bed that we're going to create to the left of the raised garden beds that are already there. Now, the Snapdragons that we're going to use are just a mixed color, and they're an F1, which means that they are going to grow and bloom when it's cool out. We will seed start these in trays. I'm going to start 100 of them and get them going for my first early spring bloom. Those will probably peter out as we go into the summer, and then what's going to end up happening is I will transplant something else behind them. That is the one thing I haven't figured out on some of the cool season annuals when they're done. Do I want to plant something in their place so that there's continually something there? Or do I want to do like a barley cover crop, let it rest, till it in, and then do a fall planting? So I'm still working on that part of it, but pretty excited. There are also other cool season plants that you can grow. One of them being Calendula. Calendula is a cool season, and I'm going to seed start these. They're super easy to seed start. I did not buy any because, okay, you guys, this is all of the seed packets that I already had for Calendula. So I already have one that's called Alpha. I have one that's called Pacific Beauty. I actually have 2 packets. I have another one called Orange and Lemon Twist from Renee's garden. I've got one called Ivory Princess, one called Orange Button, and another one called Triangle Flashback. So I have lots of calendula. No worries there that I'm going to run out of seeds or variety on those this year. So I didn't want to buy any more. I kind of want to use up the stock that I already have. But calendula is another one of those cool season herbs, or it is an herb, but it's a flower too. And what's cool about calendula, I do this a lot, and I did it when I was growing in the community gardens. I'll put calendula in the bed, and it is a host plant for aphids. They will flock to this, and they'll stay all over the stems and all over the leaves, but they stay off the flower, and they don't eat the flowers. And so when I harvest calendula, I just pop the flowers off the top, and then I can take the stalk and cut it out if I want, but I have a tendency to leave it because I want the aphids to go to this plant and stay off my other plants. I do have a few more flowers, most of them perennial. There are a couple annual warm season flowers that will be going into the herb garden section of the garden. But I'm not going to go over that plan today because that in itself is a video just showing you the layout of that and where everything's going to go and all the herbs that we're going to grow over there. So this is pretty much all of the cut flowers that we're going to put in the garden in 2026. You will notice that I have a lot of plantings together. The cool season are kind of together. The warm season are together. They're not scattered throughout the garden willy-nilly here and there. I want the beneficial insects to be able to find them. It also makes it easier to tend. It makes it easier to harvest. It makes it easier to succession plant. It makes it easier to plan what's coming behind it. So group and mass plant your plants together. Okay, I've spent the whole entire video standing here at my kitchen counter because my dining room is a hot mess. Not only did I have to hurry and bring all my plants inside, I have probably like 5 different projects sitting on the dining room table that I just don't have time to get to, and this is what ends up happening. I will get to them sooner or later. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you found something that maybe you want to add to your garden. This is not a sponsored video. I just like Johnny's Seeds. I like the information on the packet, and I've always gotten a good quality product from them, and I like the variety of what they sell. It's not the only place I buy seeds, but I did get quite the haul from them this time. I was at my dad's this last weekend, and I sat at his dining room table placing my order, doing my planning, and he must have thought I was nuts as I was over there giggling and laughing and, oh, I can't wait to do this and I can't wait to do that. I don't know. I'm just really excited about my new garden area, and I hope you want to come on this journey with me. So we have a question and answer garden gab coming up this Saturday, so make sure you tune in for that. We'll be answering questions from the previous videos. Outside of that, I hope you get your hands in the dirt today. And if you can't do that, we'll go outside and roll around in the grass. All right, I'm Michelle, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye, everyone.